Hi everybody, Adam here. Welcome back to our Lego room. In today's video, we're going to be running a number of trains around the layout. We're kind of at an in-between point on a few projects, so I want to make sure the layout is back in working order. We'll put a few of our trains through their paces. There's a few tidying things I'd like to do around the layout as well. We'll talk through some of the things going on the layout as well as around the room. But really just want to, run some trains. We'll see if we can get a few other trains back into working order and running as well. So let's dive in and get started. First up, we've got our Brickmania Tram trolley. Let's see if we can get that running. Really love this build. It's always fun to run it around the layout. It is off. For a while, I had this up on the upper elevated track around the top part of the room, but nice to have it back down onto the main layout. Just a fun little build. It runs really well. It's nice having it run around the layout here in the Lego room, but it's also a crowd favorite out at shows as well. Just fun and different from some of the other trains that we run. I have plans for a couple more trolley cars that would be cool to build and have motorized to run around the layout. So we will definitely have to look into getting those sorted out soon. It looks like it's running pretty well. It's using the powered up controller and train motor. Yeah, it's really running well. So maybe the next thing to do before I move the white passenger train off of the main line, maybe we'll put it through its paces for a couple of laps at least around the layout. So we've got the trolley car running as well as the white passenger train now. And I know it's come up in the comments, I think at least once or twice. I will be working on adding an additional motor into that white train just to make sure that we don't end up with any issues with the train motor getting sort of overworked and burning out. Really like how long that train is getting though. A nice sort of extended train to have in the collection. I'm going to carefully step around to the other side of the room over here. Still doing a bunch of part sorting on the floor over here, so it's a bit of it's a dangerous walk through to the side of the layout over here. But we are making progress. We'll get that tidied up soon, so it's a little easier to move over here. I am currently working through, in addition to the sorting, trying to make some progress on some older builds that are in progress and, sort of hanging out around the periphery of the room. We're gonna get the Lego Mario finished up soon, hopefully. Got the parts in that I needed to get past the point that I was blocked at, so that will be nice. We also got the Mario cap build from Bricker Builds finished. So that's up here joining our other Bricker Builds models on the new display shelf. So I think that's a cool addition over there. Looking forward to this really kind of fleshing out over here as a big sort of Mario and dinosaur area in the room. But trying to make as much progress as I can on some of these builds that have been lingering around on the perimeter of the room, just to make it easier to find parts, easier to move around the room. And, lots of things that I have coming up that I would like to be ordering and working on. So a little bit of space cleared around the room will be quite nice and help us make some more progress on, those projects that are upcoming. So those are both running really well. I think what we're gonna do next I'm gonna probably take the passenger train off the main line. Let's see if we can get a couple of our other passenger trains up and running on the main line here. So next up, we've got our Lego bullet train, this green and white passenger train. Always a fun one to run around at shows, as well as on the layout here in the Lego room. And this one is, I think this could definitely use another car or two on my list to extend this out. I like the sort of longer length that we're getting with this train, similar to the white passenger train. Definitely a candidate though for a second powered up motor in there. We've got the one train motor so far, but definitely on my list to look at extending this one out and giving it another motor to see if, sort of where we can push it to. And we'll run this around the layout here. One of the things we're definitely going to need to think about as we keep lengthening out a number of the trains in our collection, we are going to need some longer sidings. Either that or, we definitely won't be able to store the locomotives with all of the train cars in a single siding. Obviously, there's, for some trains, that's not really a big deal. We can split up some of the box cars and various cars associated with a train amongst, a number of different sidings. But, just another thing that we will need to think about as we continue to build out the trains in terms of the length of each of the trains, adding additional cars to our collection, as well as additional locomotives. And as we continue to build out both the tabletop layout and the lower level layout, at some point, it's something that we'll just have to, make the best of and work around. But definitely something that, if we were able to get more space at some point, would be a great place to start from with sort of planning, is making sure that we've got some really nice long sidings and yard areas for, sort of maximum allowable train length. Gonna move around to a different side of the layout. A nice view of the layout from down here in the Acro Mills storage corner of the layout. think we are running down on battery power for this particular train at the moment. I've got its usual battery pack all changed over to a new set of batteries and ready to swap in as needed. But I always like to try to run the batteries down as much as possible before doing the swap. Make sure we're sort of maximizing the usage of each set of batteries we have, and especially in the case of these powered up ones where, I'm just swapping batteries, we're not using anything that's rechargeable. Want to make sure that we are maximizing what we get out of each set of batteries before we do that changeover. Running pretty smoothly though, even though it does seem like it's slowing down a little bit. High on my list for this week to continue to clean up and organize this end of the layout. A lot of train cars down here that need to find a siding so that they can live on when they're not actively running around the layout. And some more clearing out and building I want to do of stuff in and around this Acro Mills corner over here. We got a lot of stuff that's kind of built up and is just kind of a catch-all over here, and want to continue to open this area up, both for allowing us to work on the layout over here and finish up some of the projects here, but also to make it as easy as possible to get in and out of our Acro Mills storage containers and our sort of storage organization area in general over on this side of the room. Pretty happy with how that's running. Like I said, the battery is running down on that. Let's see if we can get the Horizon Express out there as well, and maybe we'll try to get the other train moving a little bit faster as well. So we've got the Horizon Express zipping along with its two power functions train motors, one at each end. And I'm pretty sure we're getting to the point of needing to do a swap out on the battery pack for that green and white passenger train. It's on its last legs, I think, over there. So I think what I will do is I'm going to do that swap out, and then we'll see how it runs, and I'll move to a different vantage point around the layout. There, I think that battery change has done the green and white bullet train over there a world of benefit. Running with a lot more purpose and speed at the moment. Looking good. Both of them are definitely running really well now. Now, a couple of things that are definitely on, hopefully, the list for this week. Got some changes I'm going to make to the Union Pacific. I want to get both of our Union Pacific locomotives running with a lot more sort of smoothness and happiness, so that we can get the Union Pacific train, which you can see most of up on the upper level over there. I'd like to get that running around the layout with more regularity and predictability. It was one of our workhorse trains, and it's flagged a little bit over the last little while, so hoping some motor swaps in there and a few other things that I'm looking at doing will help us get that back to where we want it to be in terms of reliability when running around the layout. Also would like to get the Crocodile motorized this week and running around the layout. That's been one that's I've had on my list for a while, and we've got a number of the powered up motors ready to be installed into trains, so I think that's a good candidate. And also hoping to get the latest Christmas train built this week so that we can try to put the initial version of that through its paces and see how it performs. Lots of feedback I know from various people that when it was announced and now that it's starting to be built by various builders across the community, but looking forward to getting ours ready to go and seeing how it performs here around our layout. Ultimately, never a shortage of projects to work on around the room, but definitely happy to be working through some of the backlog that we have. So hopefully schedules and time will permit to make a big dent in the coming weeks here on some of these to-do list items that we've talked about. And like I said, it's also nice to finish things off because then it opens up room for new projects and things to move into the Lego room in general, but also into our workspace where we do a lot of our building and filming. Always nice to open up chunks of space there so that we can, find some new things to add into the queue there. Now, I think next up, and maybe we might run another train or two before we call it quits on this video, but one thing I would like to do is to open up the yard space a bit so we can run some trains through the yard area to just test out that part of the layout. So we've got the Maersk running through the yard. Not pulling too much at the moment. Don't really need it to. Just want to make sure that that track is working as expected, and it seems to be performing quite well. Always fun to be able to run trains through the yard. That's one of the reasons, I think it's important to find a siding home for all of the trains that we have in our collection, make it easier for things to get on and off the layouts. And I also just want to make sure there's room for trains to come through the yard here. I think it is a lot of fun to be able to, it's fun to normally run trains around the outer mainline tracks, but having that opportunity to come through the yard in the middle of the layout, I think is a lot of fun. And just, gives some different ways to move trains back and forth around the layout. And it's just fun to put the Trix Bricks monster crossover through its paces. It does not get, doesn't get utilized as much as it could in this particular spot. It's, obviously very important for getting trains in and out of the yard area. And I love how, You know, it can get trains from the yard all the way out to the outer mainline track if we want, but generally speaking, we don't really put it through too much in the way of difficult maneuvers over there, but hoping as we get the two new ones integrated nicely into the lower level layout that we'll be able to put them through their paces a bit more and have trains, you know, navigating back and forth across the different tracks that we have, you know, sort of at our disposal there in that lower layout. So that should be fun to see as we wrap that up soon. But really happy with how the Maersk is running there and happy with how the yard track is working. In addition to the T-junction down at that end of the tabletop layout. So I think that's probably where we'll wrap it up for this video. Like I said, several projects on the go that we'll be working on in addition to continuing to build out the layout here and, you know, organize, sort parts. Definitely some trains that are going to be getting some attention in the coming days and weeks here, but would really love to get that crocodile up and running. Get the new Christmas train built and motorized for the layout, as well as getting the Union Pacific back up and running. So lots of cool stuff ahead. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please make sure to do so that you don't miss out on any of our upcoming videos. And thank you very much for watching. We will see you again soon. Take care. Bye.